Space exploration isn't the escape from human nature. It's the next step in understanding it. Think, centuries from now, an archaeologist might uncover the remains of an orbital habitat, the scratches of a hatch handle, the placement of tools, or a coffee stain frozen on a workstation. Those traces will tell the story of how humanity learned to live beyond Earth, not through grand declarations, but through quiet evidence of behavior. The privatization of space isn't just an engineering revolution, it's a social one. Anthropology helps us understand not only what we're building, but how these environments transform human identity, hierarchy, and belonging. After 2 decades of shared international habitation aboard the ISS, the next era of orbital life is shifting towards privatization. Companies like Axom Space and Blue Origin plan to launch commercial habitats where scientific research, tourism, and industry will coexist. But once you put humans into enclosed environments detached from Earth's cultural anchors, social systems start to evolve in unexpected ways. Anthropology examines how those systems, how status, adaptation, and cooperation emerge under new constraints. This is less about technology and more about the formation of culture and isolation, something that we've studied for years in ships, Arctic bases, and monastic communities. When small groups inhabit confined environments, they form what sociologists call microcultures, social ecosystems with their own norms, informal hierarchies, and shared symbolic behavior. These microcultures are a response to stress, limited resources, and constant interdependence. In orbital habitats, that process happens at an accelerated pace. The absence of natural cues such as gravity, weather, and night and day cycles force humans to rebuild social rhythm artificially. Over time, these rhythms crystallize into what anthropologists call constructed habitats, learned patterns of thought and behavior specific to the environment. In short, even off Earth, humans build meaning through repetition, shared memory, and spatial familiarity. The habitat becomes both architecture and narrative. Identity, status, and symbolism are key aspects in understanding the foundations already set in place. In commercial space, social status won't only depend on expertise, it'll depend on representation, the visible association with a company, nation, or funding source. A French sociologist named Pierre Bondu described this as symbolic capital, prestige and legitimacy expressed through visible symbols. Private stations may unintentionally reinforce stratification, paid researchers versus corporate guests, national crews versus commercial ones, yet these spaces also offer a chance for cultural pluralism, a blending of languages, gestures, and formal customs that transcend traditional national divisions. Anthropology looks at how these social markers evolve into what we might call orbital identity, or space culture, an identity defined less by geography and more by shared context and dependence. Life in microgravity reshapes not only the body but also the psyche. Studies from Antarctic research bases and long-duration missions show patterns of social withdrawal, altered circadian perception, and compensatory bonding. Anthropologically, this is a phenomenon of recontextualized selfhood, where individuals renegotiate who they are within a closed system. People adapt by seeking new forms of agency, personal routines, symbolic decorations, humor, and even collective storytelling. Rather than seeing these as trivial behaviors, anthropology reads them as vital, as mechanisms that maintain cognitive equilibrium and social continuity in environments that challenge the human sense of normalcy. Now the question of who governs orbital life will shape its social evolution. Unlike the ISS, where policies are negotiated through international treaties, private systems operate in hybrid systems, partially corporate, partially national. Now, from an anthropological view, this creates a field of cultural negotiation, the balance between collective ethics and organizational control. How do individuals maintain autonomy in a space where every decision, from meal schedules to communication windows, is meditated by authority? The success of future habitats will not only depend on the governance frameworks, but whether those frameworks accommodate to diverse cultural expectations of hierarchy, privacy, and cooperation. Every environment produces artifacts, what archaeologists call material culture. The texture of a handle, the pattern of wear on a workstation, or a note taped to a wall all become data. These traces reveal not just function but emotion. They show how people coped, collaborated, and found small ways to express individuality in standardized environments. Future archaeologists may read these details as evidence of early off-world culture, the first tangible steps in humanity's expansion of its cultural domain. These artifacts will embody the intersection of adaptation, emotion, and technological mediation. The rise of private space habitats marks the first time human culture is deliberately designed for an environment beyond Earth. Anthropology isn't just observing that process, it's deciphering how humanity redefines itself when our ecosystems, economies, and social relations are no longer bound to a planet. And that's all the screen time I have for today. If you're interested in this topic, I highly suggest you look into the field of astroanthropology and subscribe. Alright, bye.